Desperate times calls for desperate measures, and unfortunately, that's the case with the RX 6500 XT. Hey, don't get me wrong, I love AMD as a company, right? Their company has been producing great products over the years. Like when they started out with the Zen CPUs, that was amazing. And my current system, it owns Zen 3000 and Zen 5000. But, well, thank you COVID. Now we have to wear masks everywhere we go. And yes, this product exists. This product should not exist, in my opinion, with such little specs. Maybe if there was no COVID, right, if there was no supply issues, there was no shortages, this amount of configuration would probably be rebranded as the RX 6400, I would say. But yeah, I feel that this is really too handicapped to be called a 6500 XT. But anyway, long story short, let's take a look at this card and see if it is any worth buying. Hey guys, this is Chester here. You guys are watching our channel right here at Chester and Unboxing. Today we'll be taking a look at the RX 6500 XT, and this is so small. This box is so small. Before that, so we will really appreciate it if you guys can help us and support us. If you like this video, do like it, share with your friends. If you like our channel, do subscribe, because we are creating new content every week. We release it every week, and stay tuned actually, because we're actually going to have this card featured in one of a streamer based build. So stay tuned to that, subscribe, and be ready to watch that when it comes. Card is a 500 class, which means that it is the lowest XT in its lowest XT tier in its family. So that means that you're not going to expect like wow, multi-monitors, 4K high resolution displays and whatnot. No, this is designed for the mainstream gamer user, I would say, mainstream user. Yeah, but let's take a look anyway. So this is the power color version. And yeah, they feature ball bearing, 2 ball bearing, mute fan technology, 0 decibels. Thank you MSI for debuting with that feature. Yeah, although you can actually control it via third-party software. Like, I personally love MSI Afterburner. I use it for all the brands, so it's amazing. Okay, and yeah, let's take a look, open the box and see what we get. That's all you get. This box has a whole lot of nothing except cardboard. So down to the card itself, this is a very diminutive looking card. So this is the 6500 XT. So the 6500 XT has 1024 cores stream processors, not CUDA. CUDA is NVIDIA's thing. So 1024 cores running at a blistering 2800 megahertz. So I believe, and AMD does this a lot, I believe this is the highest clock card ever in history. I think. Yeah, so usually graphics clocks is usually not that high, but this particular one is really clocked very high. For single precision, it pushes about 5.7 teraflops around there. Okay, and yeah, this card is small. Like, we're talking 5.4 billion transistors small. So that's not a lot, like, given by modern standards, right? Other cards have like double digit. So yeah, it's not really a lot. Okay, but that's for the core. Okay, for the memory, it has a 4 gig memory. Yeah, 4 gig only. 4 gig in 2022 is very little. So 4 gigs of GDDR6, at least it's GDDR6, right? Yeah, so 4 gigs of GDDR6 memory running at 18 gigabit per second on a 64-bit wide bus. And yeah, 64. Freaking narrow. Yeah, but you'll see later in our benchmarks that it actually does hamper the performance. And yeah, in total the memory bandwidth is about 144 gigabyte per second. It's not really a lot, but yeah, I mean, that's the theme of today's video. It's not really a lot. Moving on to the card itself. So it's a single fan. This power color version is a single fan with the IO plate, and can I say I love the black color coating on it. I love it, like, because usually default is like your regular silver and everything. They're black, nice. It actually fits with a lot of cases, which they are black, so it's like black on black, nice. In terms of I/O, there's just two. Or you're gonna get a single HDMI 2.1 and a DisplayPort 1.4a. Both can run 8K. Not that you can run them smoothly, but you can display 8K. Yeah. So yeah, quite sad. You only have two outputs, so forget about any multi-monitor. The only multi-monitor you're gonna get is two, just left and right. That's all you're gonna get. Okay. And yeah, there is no crossfire. Duh. Definitely. Why would you want crossfire? Yeah. Okay. So in terms of power, right, it needs a single 6-pin, because this TDP is only 107 watts. So if you overclock it, naturally it run higher. But 107 watts is actually very small. This card will fit in, I would say, a lot of mini ITX systems where your case is physically very small. So I think this card will fit nicely in those situations. 107 watt TDP, and your power supply is recommended to have around 400 watts, which is quite low lah. Yeah, so it would fit in almost all DIY systems out there. But for default systems, if you don't have the 6-pin, then
stop it. Get some help.
One thing I want to let everybody to remember is that, okay, if you see here, you see that the traces, they actually end here. This is nothing. Yeah, this card, right, the 6500 XT only has a PCIe 4X link. It doesn't have the full 16X. So it sucks because it does hamper the performance of this card. So if you're using a Gen 4 motherboard, then okay, you know, maybe it's minimal. But the real problem is when you're using a Gen 3 motherboard, because it's the times 4, right? The X4 link, it doesn't care which generation you're in. It's an electrical connection. So that means that if your motherboard is a slightly older one, which by the way is not really that old, then you are missing out. You can miss out on a good 10 to 15 FPS, and that's a lot, because this card doesn't really push out a lot of frames. So that's really a bummer. Okay, so let's talk about the dimensions of this card. Okay, in terms of the length, it is about 16 cm. That's about 6 1/3 inch. Okay, the width is about 10 cm. 10 cm is about 4 inches. Okay, the depth, right, it is actually a strictly 2-slot, so it is only 3.6 cm. That's 36 millimeters, or about 1.5 inches. Let's move on to the benchmarks first. So we have our standard suite of 3 games, Dota 2, Sleeping Dogs. That's the later one, not the original. The Sleeping Dogs, I forgot what the game of the year one, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, Definitive Edition, Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, and Batman Arkham Origins. So over it, you can see in our previous graphic card tests that the settings, the quality settings are actually universal. So you can actually compare them to apples and apples. They were used under the same test system. So you can actually see under the follows that the Dota 2 game is okay. So it's not super fast, but it's okay. But when you come to the Sleeping Dogs game and the Batman game, the frame rates will start to struggle a little bit. And this is running at, you know, it's not really a lot, it's running at Full HD. So that's what this card is designed to be. This card is designed, sorry, to run at Full HD. And sadly, not higher than that. You can run at QHD, like, sure, but probably, you know, maybe you have to down some settings and so like that. Yeah. Okay, let's take a closer look at the card a little bit, right? So this particular cooler, it has 2 heat pipes. So from the core, it extends out to one on the left and one on the right. And that's about it. It's a very simple aluminum-based heatsink copper heat pipes, and that's about it. I can actually see inside there that the die is actually very small. Yeah, but yeah, because the actual thing is small. Okay, so overall, I would say that's about it. But let's talk a little bit about the cons first before we wrap up this video. So number one, it has quite a few. Number one, heads up first, right? Number one, it has only a 4X link, the PCIe 4X link. So that's really not very good. So for the future, I would like to see a minimum of 8X. Like 4X is really not enough. A minimum of 8X. So at least the handicap wouldn't be too obvious, especially in older systems. Okay, number 2, the IO is freaking limited. You only got 2. Yeah, at least put 3. Alright, so people can put like right, left, center, and right. So even if they're not using this card for gaming, they can still use for productivity, for work, where you can have an Excel sheet, your main window, and then maybe some internet browsing and stuff like that. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is, I feel that it is too handicapped. Like the distance between the 6500 XT and the 6600 XT is a lot, right? I feel that this card has been handicapped too much. Like they should not have, maybe have a 128-bit memory, a 128-bit memory bus, maybe, and 4 gig is way too little for 2022. At least 8 gig should be the bare minimum, because nowadays games that use, like especially ray tracing games, it's crazy how much memory they can consume, and yeah, it's simply not enough. So sometimes this card may not even have the memory to even talk about the horsepower. Yeah, so yes, in the future we would like a minimum tier card to be not so minimum lah, huh? Yeah, but anyway, that's about it for our card. So it's not all doom and gloom, because it is physically very small. So for ITX systems, actually this card will be quite good for ITX systems and small like that, and computers that might not be too new, that you're just gonna be bottlenecked by newer but powerful cards anyway. This card might not be a not bad option. Yep. So yes, that's about it for our unboxing and review of the AMD RX 6500 XT graphics card. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. I'm Chester, that's all for today. See you guys.